First of all, good morning. And secondly, I think we're starting, it's very appropriate. We're starting today with a dense fog. And it was kind of surprising to me that it's actually kind of representative about the topic that we're gonna discuss today. It's how do you go and navigate through, thick, dense fog around and figure out kind of the right point of entry to go and start your journey, and you end up, being able to use AR to transform your business. So let's kick it off. A quote from Gartner says that by 2020, you have AR, VR, MR being evaluated and adopted in 20% of large enterprises as a part of their digital transformation strategy. So that's a pretty large number. There are tons of use cases that are out in the market today, things that range from being able to go and design to execute your business and consumer applications and everything in between. So what does this all mean? We're going to first talk about kind of the first order business impact drivers that we see across the business. And it's associated with increased productivity, increased quality, compliance, safety, and utilization. It's not necessarily representative of the full suite of business variables that are getting people to explore that first point of entry in AR, but it's a pretty good example of how people are looking at this as a means to an end. So if we look at the human process behavior and how AR applies here, we're talking about a world, let's call it the Industry 3.0, because since we're here in Munich in Germany, birthplace of Industry 4.0, the current human process has a huge amount of dependency on training and memory, decent-sized gap between best and worst performance, information, and this is the critical part, that it's really currently, it's rarely to the minute or to the second. So here, one of the fundamental benefits of AR that we can go and talk about is delivering information to the person as that person is performing the work and having real-time access to the rest of the digital enterprise. The topic here is about digital transformation. AR is a part of it, but we live in a world where AR is the human-facing component of how work is being done. What does that mean for processes with AR and Industry 4.0? Everything is real time. There's bidirectional flow of information, and people and machines are working together. You have an agile workforce, so much to a point where we actually renamed our company in being able to kind of get to that upskilling and reskilling of people with AR as the main lever in being able to make that happen. And how we do that is with augmented reality technology. These are examples of some of the glasses that are out there. So let's actually click into the different use cases that we're seeing very commonly. And we really think about this as finding the entry point around your primary business functions that you're performing as an end user of the technology. And it's people that are building products, moving products, or in certain cases, people, or it's servicing equipment and products and other kinds of things like that. And these three end up being some of the most common entry points that people are able to go and leverage here. What's interesting about it, and I leave this actually by omission deliberately, is the design component of AR as a part of the Industry 4.0 ecosystem. It's not to say that design isn't a critical part of being able to go and leverage, AR and VR and everything else, but from a timeline to be able to go and get a tremendous amount of value, design is one of those horizontal processes that really just has to get built into how you're operating your business today. And that means the main entry points that people should be thinking about really center around build, move, and service. And then what's also horizontal to this is the training application, which I'll talk about in a second. From a business benefit perspective, these are some of the metrics that we're able to go and share horizontally across some of the customers that we work with. 10 to 34% just faster productivity, throughput of products that are being made. And equally as importantly, if not even more so, is 100% first-time quality. being able to go and do things right the first time, every single time, has, in many cases, value that is much, much higher than being able to just simply do things faster. And then in the move, so particularly we're talking about applications and warehousing, you're seeing benefits that are ranging from 8% on the low end to 46%, really transforming paper-based processes using AR and wearable technology to go and improve your existing processes. If you're in lean manufacturing or lean supply chain principles and things like that, and I'm about to go and bring an expert on stage about all of this, 10% gains in productivity are things that technology users or end users of AR would kill for. And then, of course, in service and maintenance, you're also looking at a higher first-time fix rate, 18%, and that is a conservative estimate on what we're able to go and share. The end impact of what's being seen at individual customers can be much, much greater than what we're able to go and put out there. So I talked about training, and we have an example of someone who was able to wear a set of smart glasses and be guided through instructions, guided through remote assistance, guided through being able to go and navigate through media that was captured on the job. And the point of AR is to get people out of training sessions in classrooms, get that tech out there, working with the equipment, hands-on. So let's talk about finding the entry points around devices. And we actually break this out into the needs of the end user. So in the horizontal axis, you have a mobility need. How mobile do you need to be when you're actually moving about, or moving about your job, literally? And do you need to be hands-free as you're working? And that ultimately dictates the device choices that you have to make, recognizing that this is not a binary outcome. You have multiple choices of devices that you should look to go and deploy augmented reality technology in. So let's start with a high hands-free need and a high mobility need. And here you have smart glasses and AR headsets. If you have a lower hands-free need but need to be highly mobile, then the smartphones and tablets are the logical solutions to consider deploying out there. Similarly, low mobility, high hands-free need, you deal with fixed displays. That could be projectors, that could be tablets and PCs and other kinds of things like that are strategically mounted around your workspace. And of course, you may guess what's next. If you have a low mobility need and a low hands-free need, you're probably working on a workstation, and you're working with PCs. All of these are valid forms of computing for Industry 4.0. And you can, these are the kinds of computing devices that you're looking to deploy with AR. So if we talk about entry point around experiences, it really comes down to the level of immersion that you want to go and deliver to the user, and that ultimately maps to content. So first, we have mobile AR, information that's delivered to you. Non-immersive because it involves you actually pulling out your phone out of your pocket or your tablet out of your backpack, what have you, and you're actually interacting with it, and then you're putting it down and you're moving on to the next task. The next two experiences involve hands-free experiences. Assisted reality looks to leverage existing content for the most part, then you deliver that to the user. And of course, in mixed reality, you're delivering a high degree of immersion. Ultimately, this comes down to the availability of content. So at this point, I'm very excited to go and welcome one of the global supply chain leaders at GE, Omar Castillo, who's going to come in and share his experience.
Good morning, everyone. Guten Morgen. Buenos dias. My name is Omar Castillo. I'm a global supply chain leader for Radiography Systems, which is a business within Baker Hughes, a GE company. I'm what some of you will call a customer, or the reality in virtual reality. I'm out there trying to make products and make things happen. And I would like to tell you a little bit about our journey with AR and trying to actually solve problems in the real world using the technology.
So, Omar, let me first set the stage here for you, where how you got started in your journey was, looking at scenarios like this where you have a bunch of people that are hands-on with their work, and you started with assisted reality, right?
Yep.
Being able to go and take your leveraging existing content, and if you click through this, then you'll be able to go and kind of see the kinds of information that's being available to the user. It's text, diagrams, content that you already own and use every day.
Correct. And again, being able to leverage the existing content was for us key in terms of letting the technology come into our shop, because that requires less effort from our side to be able to integrate the solution and leveraging what we already have, both the resources, the people, and also the content of the drawings, etc. So as we go through our journey, there you go, sorry. Our first step, so as he said, let's set up the reality, the context. I'm in a business that's growing. With business growth, there's tremendous opportunity, but it drives a lot of challenges. Challenges to deliver more, better, faster. I don't know if you've heard that, but the better, more, faster is a reality, especially in the business world. We're in a hyper-competitive environment where we're constantly trying to make sure that we stay ahead of the competition, and that from a supply chain perspective means reducing our cycles, being able to accommodate and be more flexible in our production processes, and deliver better quality. And at the same time, while in our shops, in production, you're battling the day-to-day challenges, around us, there's Industry 4.0, there's a lot of emerging technologies that are coming around and are presented to you as an operator as options to solve your needs. And it all starts with a need. An operation looking for solutions, an operator, a plant trying to improve productivity, reduce defects because operators can not follow the instructions. It's looking about how I can solve my problems. It also starts with a master thesis student, being an intern, trying to look for a subject to deploy, and us taking advantage of that and saying, hey, you know what, we got this opportunity, you want to solve a problem, help us out. So it worked out for him as well. But then you face the operator dilemma. As an operator, as a supply chain leader, we're very skeptical about the new shiny object around. We like proven solutions, we like proven technologies, because we have a lot of pressure to deliver and very little room for experimentation sometimes, both because of the financials, especially if it takes capital investment, but also because of time. If I have to stop production, if I have to distract operators, if I have to reallocate resources, I might not be on board to try something new unless it's proven. There's many tools available. Where do you choose? And now I've been learning more about AR, VR, mixed reality. You probably need a class for that, at least as an operator, to figure out what is right for us, for you, the customer, the person that's trying to solve a problem. And again, the pressures to deliver. And so how we went about taking the challenge, we benchmark. As Jay mentioned, there are areas that are prime for AR. Assembly operations with repetitive work that requires clear instructions. That's the build part. Move tasks that are variable, like in the warehouse, moving a stock that every time is a different set of parts that you got to move. And remote services. If you have to do a task that is outside or it requires some sort of remote connectivity, AR is prime. So we looked at those areas. We identified, in our specific case, wire harness operation where employees have to read paper drawings and wire diagrams, and then apply what they're reading as they work in an operation. We develop a financial plan. We will not try this if there's not going to be a benefit. So we spend time, and that's where the right partner comes into play, trying to develop a financial case on how we were going to reduce cycle, what were going to be the benefits, and then put it in a roadmap that we can actually measure as we went along. And finally, identifying the right lead, I mentioned that master's thesis student, and the right partner. And again, I've been working with Jay and the team. They've been really helpful to us, trying to figure out, again, how I present this to management in terms of financials, because this is the first time we're trying this. So developing a pilot project was great for us and as a collaboration tool. And then some of the challenges, I already talked about the financials, but the hint about the pilot, for us, developing, we call it a minimum viable product that we could try, having the experience, allow us to engage the stakeholders. You know, I got to pitch this up to my bosses and say, hey, I need a financial investment to deliver this. I also had to engage a lot of stakeholders in the floor. How do you convince an operator that has been reading papers for years, well, you should wear these glasses. Believe me, it's going to be great. Or the Works Council here in Germany, you have to, employee representatives that you have to discuss and engage. So having a pilot that allows employees to try and give feedback and us then sit back and say, okay, is this right or not, was key for us. And then, we call it PDCA, plan, do, check, and act. Having the what failed and what worked and repeat was key. So the interactive process is the technology helping us or not? At the end of the day, AR should be seen as a means to an end, not the end itself. We don't want to try this just because it's AR and it's going to put me in the front of a magazine about Industry 4.0. I'm trying to solve a problem. Is this tool trying to help me solve it? So in summary, and then we'll show a quick video to kind of give you a taste of that pilot that we did with the application. But start with a goal in mind. And start with a need. Whether you as a solution developer, an app developer, or you as an industry person trying to solve a problem, you got to figure out what the real need is and what your goal is. I've read the book From Good to Great, and there's that line of have the right people on the bus. You got to have the right people. Whether it's a change agent that will help you drive a change, because this is new. For many, operations, they like repeating the things they have done in the past. This is you're gonna face some challenges in adapting something new. So having change agents leading this is key. Understand the tool, what the technology can and cannot do for you, cannot solve all your problems. So being clear on that. And defining the scope. Don't try to boil the ocean. For us, we learned, we wanted to apply it all over the place, and then we narrowed down to a specific task where we saw that we could get the benefits. And then finally, you got to commit to it. And again, you're taking a risk of something that you're not sure if it's going to work. But if you commit, you're going to make it work, because then you do that iterative process of learning and reapplying. So with that, we'll transition to a quick video we have for what we did in our shop.
Click through.
So what you're about to see is a video of our technicians building one of our systems. And this is the area where we focus on. And you can see here the operator wiring an electrical board, complex circuits. He has a paper where he's reading the instructions. It's got to go back and forth, read, wired, remember where he was at, and a lot of opportunity for defects, as we call it, DPMUs, defects per opportunities. And so we applied, the application Skylight. With great results in this pilot. And you can see now the reduction in movements, quantity of information that he has in front of him condensed. This is another operator trying it using the voice command.
In German.
Yeah. Yes, in German. that was one of the things that we had to figure out. And again, the engagement of the employee, being able to actually have the right content information, you get productivity, quality improvements, defect reductions. So he looks serious, but he was enjoying that one.
And I think, Omar, what's important here is that a lot of that content that was being shown in that video obviously was existing pieces of information that you had as a part of your digital enterprise systems, but was printed out on paper and then had to be delivered to the user. So this is a good example of what assisted reality represents as the right point of entry in experience in being able to deliver that benefit, right?
Yep. And again, as Jay mentioned, the content, leveraging content was key for us. So it's a little crowded slide, a lot of bullet points, but the key though here is, for us as an operator, quality, cycle time, productivity. Those three elements were key. On the human factor side, I'm responsible for safety as well on my employees, ergonomics, being able to facilitate the movement. So that was also very attractive for the employees. Compliance, adhering to the instructions, and employee engagement, and allowing us to train new employees with the technology accelerated the ramp up. And in my situation where we're growing, adding new employees and getting them trained is one of the biggest challenges. So the technology was great for that. And then finally, there's intangibles. And one of them is a forcing function. It forces you to engage with engineering for that content, with other functions, and expands the view because now the service team saw this demonstration and they are asking, hey, can we use this for our field engineers? And now we're doing a pilot with them as well. So it now has the potential to become an enterprise solution, just not a production tool. We'll learn more. But that introduction of that first step allow us to kind of expand the horizon, which I wasn't actually thinking on when we first embarked in this journey.
So, Omar, thanks. And let's actually recap some of the key points that Omar's made here. There is a place in AR, as is the case with any kind of new technology, and he said, skeptical about current trends. Basically, for the right point of entry to be established, you want to avoid, that point of entry ending up in pilot purgatory. And that involves being able to go and engage with the right sets of stakeholders, as Omar alluded to. So let's double click on that within your internal organization. You first have IT, and these guys own the infrastructure as well as the devices and maybe some of the security and management and other kinds of strategies associated with it. Critically important in being able to get this right. You have operation technology, so these are your engineering folks that may generate and own the content associated with the information that needs to be delivered to the hands-on worker. And then you have the business leadership. Cycle time reduction, quality improvements, other kinds of things like that has to mean something for them. And then last not least, of course, is workforce. Omar's example of having engaged with the Workers' Council here in his plant just outside of Hanover, Germany, is a great kind of a model that people should be adapting. Go with the end user's problem sets in mind. You start there, and then you go and move on to being able to go and solve for the rest of the pieces that are there. Acceptance by the individual end users is critical for success. So some advice on being able to get started with this. That first use case, hopefully that's obvious by now. It's critical. It's minimal. Try and find use cases that are minimally changing current processes, if at all, and short time to proof of value. Build, move, and service, leveraging existing content that's out there. Identifying a key pain point, of course, amongst the workforce, and then going really deep into that. Assessing the infrastructure and data requirements and building a strategy around what this actually means for your business to actually go get it to scale it's the most obvious thing that you need to do to get out of pilot purgatory. And then engage early with IT. IT should be your best friend. And if you're making an enemy out of your IT organization, then there's something that you haven't done well here. So this is the chart that summarizes everything. Validate the ROI, enhance the existing process. That ends up becoming your first kind of the point of entry. But how this actually scales and where AR can be really valuable is being able to go and use this to transform your process and then being able to roll this out across your business. And as you start to do that, you're going to have a higher level of institutional comfort. And also, for your CFOs and other budget owners, also an investment tolerance goes up. So with that, I'd like to thank Omar. Great insights. And thank you again for listening.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave. And Q&A?